what I would hope this documentary would accomplish. If it saves one person's life, we've made the biggest accomplishment in the world as far as I'm concerned.
I actually heard something interesting. I don't know if it's true or not, but if a man lives long enough, eventually they'll have an issue with their prostate. So it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when.
What are some of the symptoms?
So prostate cancer typically doesn't have any symptoms. That's why it's often considered a silent killer. Like diabetes and high blood pressure, by the time you have symptoms, you have pretty advanced disease. Right? So that's why screening or testing before you have symptoms is really important. So in the 1980s, before we had something like the PSA test, the blood test to screen for prostate cancer, men would present with back pain, which is a sign that the prostate cancer is already grown or outside of the prostate and going to the bones. So some of the other symptoms that you may have, if you have disease that's already more advanced and we really want to catch it, some men may complain of urinating quite frequently. They may complain of blood in their urine. They may complain of some pain in the lower part of their belly, in the area where sort of like where their bladder is and where their prostate is from having to go to the bathroom frequently. But when you have those symptoms, again, that's something that we want to avoid you presenting to the doctor with. You know, we want to identify it earlier.
The name is Elmer Edwards. I'm 81 years old. I have two sons, Raul Edwards and Christopher Edwards, and one daughter, Joy Edwards. Let's see, I'm married to Imogene Edwards. We've been married for, about 59 years right now. And I guess we're happily married. We're still together. I live in Gary, Indiana. My wife and I are both retired, and we've been retired quite a while. I was diagnosed by constantly having to get up at night and going to the toilet. And I couldn't empty my bag, my urine. And it was a problem, so I went to the doctor after reading about these symptoms. And it was confirmed that I had prostate problems. Since I went to Mayo and had it taken care of, I've had no symptoms, and all the tests have come out great. So I guess I'm pretty lucky right now. And the reason I was diagnosed, a friend of mine had prostate pretty bad, and he passed on, and I saw him suffer, so I didn't want to go through the same symptoms with the radiation and everything, and I was lucky. After the operation, I didn't have to go through all that. I don't even take a pill for it now. So after I was confirmed that I had prostate problems from being examined here in Gary, I went up to Mayo Clinic, and they ran extensive tests and then diagnosed. They confirmed that I did have it, but quite not as bad as I thought it was at the first. It was diagnosed in Gary. So, and they operated. I didn't want to waste any time. And I haven't been back since, except for the doctors around locally. Well, I wish I could go back and start all over again. Maybe I could have prevented it. You never know. Some precautions, I guess, well, going to get examined regularly. My family was very supportive. The kids, they all came to I guess, encourage me, and that they were standing behind me. It made me feel pretty good. Every man should go and get examined, whether you have symptoms or not, to be on the safe side.
Prostate cancer being more prevalent among black males, and black males being the group that's less likely to get health care, We really need to get the word out. We need to get the word out in order for black males to, number one, get health care, but also as far as they need to get checked as far as this silent killer. And black males need to know they need to come out and they need to get their prostate checked.
Yeah, so for screening for prostate cancer, we do the following. Typically, you're going to get an exam, often called a digital rectal exam. Many men know it as the finger. You know, so
Yes, the old finger.
and so oftentimes, you know, patients will come in pretty apprehensive about that or nervous about it. So we also offer a blood test. Blood test called the PSA, prostate specific antigen test. It's a chemical that's produced by the prostate, that only is produced by the prostate. So when it's elevated or has a high value, then we suspect that you may have prostate cancer. So we use that as a screening tool as well.
Prostate cancer is a silent disease. You don't know you have it. You have no symptoms. There's nothing wrong with you. You're running around happy. The only time you're going to have problem is when it metastasizes. Or better still, first and foremost, when it begins to encroach on local organs near the prostate. So before then, you'll be well. And prostate cancer is a slow-growing cancer. It may take 10, 15 years to become, to begin to affect you. So you're happy, you're living your life, and somebody comes and takes your blood test and does a single rectal exam and tells you that it looks as if you need a biopsy. And they do a biopsy and they say, sorry, it looks as if you have cancer. You would think that their examining you caused it because you were happy until the day they did that.
I've always had a female doctor for like the last 15 years. And when I turned 50, I thought, she had said you should probably get this exam. Right. And I remember that I had built up this big old thing about it. And really, when it was actually done, it really wasn't anything. And then, so since then, every year I take it and it's no big deal. And, I'm glad I was able to get past that. But that is an issue, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this documentary. It's not only because of the high rate, but also because of the fears and the way we justify not taking it. We come up with excuses and fears that aren't warranted for not even taking the exam. And let me tell you something, if you think that exam is painful, you try cancer, try prostate cancer.
Who is Mayor Rudy Clay? That's pretty good. I was, anyway, an elected official. I was elected official for almost 40 years around Gary, Indiana, and Lake County, Indiana. We started out as a state senator. In fact, we were the first African-American state senator from Northwest Indiana to serve in the Senate. I was the only African-American there at the time. And then we left the state Senate, and we were elected to the Lake County Council. In other words, we came a little closer to home. And then I was elected county recorder in Lake County, Indiana. And then, of course, I was elected to the Board of County Commissioners, and I served in the Board of County Commissioners almost 20 years. And then, of course, the clarion call was to become mayor of my hometown, which is Gary, Indiana. And a pretty stressful job, I might add. But, you can't lead people that you do not love, and I love Gary. I love Gary people. We had the best people, Well, usually every year I go over to get a, should I say, a physical. I get my flu shots, I get my physical, and they take the so-called blood draw and all of this here. And then I got a call from the doctor saying that he wanted to check it a little further with biopsies and all that kind of thing. And after they checked it all out, and it was early, I might add, he said to me, looked like you had a prostate cancer, I said, well, let's fix it up, because I got to go back to work. And he said, well, we'll start work on it. Well, the blood test was first, but they were not looking for, prostate cancer with the blood test, but that's where they found it. And then after they found it, quite naturally, then you move on to other things, which we did. I told them, hey, whatever's necessary, because I want to live, I want to be healthy, because I got a job to do here in Gary, Indiana, as mayor of the city. And let's get it done, And nobody really knew I had it until after I made the announcement. because I was going on doing my duties every day, working at City Hall in different places like that every day, making phone calls to people, and people calling me, and we dealing with picking up the garbage, make sure we had the police doing their job, firefighters doing their job, employees doing their job, make sure that the citizens of Gary get the services that they deserve and need and wanted and was paying for. So there wasn't any, should I say, gap in my job as mayor as related to the prostate. And then lo and behold, my wife got sick. You know, she had to go to the hospital. And that kind of woke me up. And so I said to my wife, I said, hey, I'm pulling out a race, and you and I are going to enjoy our senior years here and go ahead on and do something else. Oh, let me tell you, well, how has your faith helped get you through prostate cancer? The Bible says, I think it's in Hebrews says faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. And I have the faith to know that the evidence of things unseen, which is the healing, is there for me. You know? Oh yeah. Well, my son, he was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and he didn't really know until really I decided to pull out a marriage rate. And I called him in Atlanta and told him what was going on. And within 1 hour's time, he was in his car and drove all the way to Gary, Indiana. And boy, that really, I'll never forget that. Well, tears came in my heart, eyes too, you know, to see my son give me that kind of love. It made me feel pretty good. It makes me feel good today, in fact. And my wife, she's just been a gem, you know, just a gem, you know. She won't even allow me to go to Chicago to the doctor unless she's there with me, you know. And so the family has been really close. And that helps, you know, that really helps. It helped me anyway. It really helped me because that family support, you gotta have a good, strong family. My wife and my son have been there for me every step of the way, every step of the way. You can be a celebrity and catch it. You know, you can be a Farrakhan, minister in the Nation of Islam. You can be Colin Powell, one of the greatest generals of our time, and catch it, you know, and on and on and on. African-American males and other males, they must really go and have what is called a PSA, check the numbers out and see what's going on with that. And if you catch it early, you have a better opportunity to save your life. Don't you want to save your life? Of course.
So Dwayne, how did you discover you had prostate cancer, and were there any symptoms?
Never any symptoms, and haven't had symptoms in 3 years since I was diagnosed.
How old were you when you?
46 when I was diagnosed, 46. It was already spread, already advanced, and inoperable. And had I gone and gotten tested 6 or 7 years earlier, probably none of this would.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the phrase prostate cancer?
Whenever I hear it, I say, brother, did you get checked? And especially if you're over 40, I say, you need to go get checked. So for me, it's been a part of who I am for the last 18 years, and that is to tell people about it all the time. I even tell the young brothers who are 25 years old, they need to go get checked. Because one of the things that I found when we were doing it is that a lot of people never really paid attention. It was something that you never talked about. I mean, I'm originally from the Bahamas, and we have people dying all the time, but nobody even talk about cancer. And so now that it's something that I've known about, and the fact that once we did our testing in Houston, we found we had like 2 guys who were 25 years old, and then they found out that the father had it, the grandfather had it, and the great-grandfather had it. And so we were able to at least share something in that family that you got to talk about it.
So has cancer, and particularly prostate cancer, been in your family history?
My father was diagnosed back in 2000, and I was living in Austin, and I really didn't get that involved. I was always busy, never had time, and in fact, I didn't even come home for his surgery, which I regretted, but he had surgery. He was in the hospital for 3 days. I never could make it. And as a result, I didn't take it serious. And so he had battled prostate cancer. And even knowing that, I still did not go get tested.
Well, first of all, I found out from my doctor, because I go every year and have an annual physical, and with Dr. Charles Weatherby, and who I've known Charles since we were children.
Pretty good. Now, how about yourself?
Real good, feeling good.
You know, last year we did our physical, and usually at the physical we do certain things for preventive care.
Right.
And part of that process was your lab work to look for different diseases.
Right.
And one was the PSA for prostate cancer.
Right.
And yours came back a little bit high.
He
so we followed up with.
Felt that I was a little swollen in there when he checked, and because he himself had cancer and was a survivor, very cognizant and asked me, "Do you mind going to a specialist to have you really looked at to make sure? Do have some biopsies done in the office to make sure that you're okay? I just have some concerns."
So we followed up with further evaluation. Okay, and now we determined that you saw Dr. Kim, did a biopsy,
right,
and determined that now you have prostate cancer, but early stage.
Right.
How you feel about that?
Well, at first I was shocked. I was like, "You're not talking to me."
His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the for is soon cut off, and we fly away. You may be seated.
So 41 years of being a vegetarian, so obviously you were health conscious.
Very health conscious.
Now, so you were not only watch what you eat, were you active as far as exercise was concerned as well?
We were active exercising. I remember one time, this is down in Terre Haute, Indiana, Horace and I decided we were going to start jogging. And he did pretty good, but I didn't. So he would encourage me to go on and everything like that. But yeah, we did. And we rode bikes together.
So now we know that you were active, you watched your diet, your spirituality was intact, it seemed, too.
Horace has always been interested in health.
Okay, so now we have a man that wanted to be a doctor, that was concerned about his health. Why did he not take a prostate exam?
He did.
Was he having one annually?
No, I'll be honest, he wasn't having one annually, but he did have an exam. I would say it was like, oh man, when was that? About 2000, so
So, and at 2000 he had an exam. He didn't go back, and now we're talking he had symptoms in 2008?
2010.
In 2010 he had symptoms. Okay. Now, so from the age of 50 to 60, he didn't have another exam.
No, he did
not.
Right.
And then when he got the symptoms, when he was he diagnosed instantly, or he just found out he had?
No, he was not diagnosed instantly. It was a year later.
A year later, when he got the symptoms, he didn't go to the doctor until
he went to the doctor, but it was well, let's just say a few months later, because he got diagnosed in January. When he went to the doctors looked at his PSA scores, and he says, no, this is not real. And they did it 4 times.
Because they were so high, he didn't think they could be real?
They didn't think they were real.
Do you remember what they were?
Oh, I think at the time they were like 4,000. Yeah, I think it was at 4,000. So they kept saying there was a mix-up or the lab work or something. It couldn't be real.
Okay.
And then they sent him to another hospital, and then that's when they did a biopsy. And by that time, I think his numbers were up to, I want to say, 4,500 or something like that. So they had gotten up pretty high then. And that's when, and that brings us to January, and that's when they said that he had prostate cancer. After the biopsy, they found cancer cell there. And they said it was an aggressive form of cancer.
Okay.
And everything like that.
Now tell me, let's go into the downside now. He's found out that he's got cancer, and he's been diagnosed with it, that it's an aggressive form of cancer. What do you do?
Well, what they started him out with was the hormone pills.
Right.
But what we did on our own was looked at our diet and see what we can do. So we started taking some herbs that we thought were helping the situation. After that, the doctor said, yes, it's cancer. It's in the 4th stage. It's gone into the bones, and it's in the lymph nodes.
I want people to realize cancer can happen to anyone. And my dad is living proof. My dad didn't smoke. My dad didn't drink. He had a vegetarian lifestyle, so he was very healthy. He drank plenty of water. A lot of people don't stay completely hydrated the way that they need to be. So in every aspect of what he could do for himself, he did, but yet this monster still caught up with him. His prostate cancer was very rapid. Within a year, it had took its full toll on him.
So as a spouse, Karen, what would you say to other women if they found out that their other had been diagnosed with prostate cancer? What advice have you to offer them?
I believe that knowledge is powerful, and so they need to check out what it really means and what stage their spouse is in, what kind of conditions they have to meet, and then to go for it and to fight the battle. It's not going to do you any good to stew about it or worry about it.
Right.
You need to take some kind of action so that you are moving. And when you move, then your body is in a positive mode and can fight back.
Right. I often ask this question to the men, but I'm going to ask it to you. There are people that have watched this video, this documentary, and will say, I'm still not buying it. I don't want to take the test. I'll find some other way, or my faith will help me, or I'll just make sure I eat right. What would you say to those people?
They're really selfish. They don't have the right to do that to their loved ones. They need to do and take action. And if you're not doing or taking action, then you're being selfish. You're putting all the attention on yourself, and you're not thinking of your loved ones.
Wow. That's the reality of it, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Those people who say, I don't need to, I don't have to, somebody else will take care of me, are being selfish.
So ignorance isn't bliss.
But it's absolutely the opposite.
But I just say if you're into your health and you know you have family, you have kids, you have people that love you, if you really love them, then you'll go get tested.
Okay, if you really love them,
Yep.
then you will go get tested.
It's selfish not to, don't you think?
Camera over here a little bit. I want you to see this is real stuff we're talking about. This is his daughter, and this is real. It affects people, and it doesn't. It's not just that person. This is, and as you said, Karen, when you don't do the responsible thing, that's a selfish act that you've decided to take, because so many people are affected by that one person. And this document is about letting people know that, and this is real. You hear the sniffing. That's someone off camera. That's his daughter. That's affected by the question, by even posing that question to you. That if you were not to make it through this, I'd like to thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.